These are the growing pains.
All right, the event is starting.
Of streaming on a new system.
It says starting soon. All right. Oh, look, it says it's live.
Whoop.
So that's fine. That's actually that's a perfectly good way to start the stream.
Why not?
So bear with us here. Right? That's Twitch. See, Twitch has been with us the whole time.
Yeah.
It's Twitch. Oh, cool.
YouTube's working.
Oh,
I'm streaming on a new system.
all right,
Okay.
cool. All right, this is good.
Excellent.
This is good. Thank you for joining us, YouTube. And sorry, incredibly sorry, we are so late. We are, just to be specific, we're 36 minutes late today for the YouTube stream.
We are.
That is because we have a new streaming system that we're streaming with. It does seem to be streaming well, but we're also using updated version of Twitch, which apparently is actually tying into the YouTube control room thing. So I actually had to tell it on YouTube to start the stream.
Right.
I thought I had told Twitch,
XSplit
to start the stream. Had to tell YouTube. So anyway, that's why we're a little late, a little later than we already were. Anyway, though, this is Awesome Hardware. Thank you guys for joining us today. This is episode number 146, and it's a live show about technology, computers, and that kind of thing, and we stream every Tuesday evening, usually starting at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, although we're starting a little after 6 today. We're streaming the first half of today's show, episode 146, on my channel, Paul's Hardware, and in about an hour or so, we're going to switch to the second half on Kyle's channel, Bitwits. The link to that should be in this video's description if you're watching. Also, if you want to watch the entire thing and you wanted to watch us fumble about with live stream settings and whatnot for the past 15 minutes or so, then you can also watch on Twitch, twitch.tv/awesomehardware. We stream the whole show, and we are coming at you live today in 1080, 60 frames per second.
Hell yeah.
How's it look? Is it super sharp?
I'm just going to take advantage of the new frame rate and just do this the
flail
whole
around.
show.
I feel like you don't flail as much as you used to. You used to flail more.
I'm trying to get back into the flailing.
Yeah?
The last video I just recorded last night, I was doing this a lot.
You did some more flailing.
It's basically just this.
Well,
with like Darude Sandstorm in the background.
The audience seems to be enjoying it.
I know what the people want, Paul.
We will continue.
And I give it to them.
A couple things to mention here at the start of the show. We do drink some beer, so feel free to join us if you're of age and are capable of drinking responsibly. Only drink responsibly, people. Also, if you're really good at drinking it, like Kyle is here, you can show off. We also occasionally use adult language on the show, so warning for the youngers out there, younger people. Look pretty nice. Hide them away and stuff. But cheers. Thanks to you guys for joining us today.
Cheers.
Finishing
Again.
off the beers.
Yay.
This feels like deja vu.
I know.
Because we already did it 5 minutes ago when we thought we were live to YouTube, but we weren't.
That's why we're so
We're
good
drinking
at
Dale's Pale Ale to start off from Oscar Blues Brewery in Colorado. It's quite tasty. All that said, we're really repeating everything. If you guys want to help support the channel, check out our stores. paulshardware.net is my store. We're finishing off the metallic silver thumbscrew shirts. They're super flashy and they're very comfortable. And it's a tri-blend. You know, the fabric is very soft and everything. So buy stuff. Bitwit.tech/store. You can buy stuff from Kyle, including the new stainless steel bottle openers with the CPU cooler logo on them.
Yep.
The classic.
So classic.
Kyle's also got the new RIP gamepad design.
RIP gamepad, and I guess we have to do an obligatory shout out on the shirts that we're wearing, that we're both wearing today. If you want to pick up a BIOS Flasher shirt,
yeah.
Heather, your name is Paul. Paul
I'm
is
Paul.
wearing the cotton shirt. I'm wearing the Heather shirt, which is why I got confused.
Usually it takes a few more drinks before you start mistaking me for Heather. All right. Speaking of drinks,
Wishful thinking.
we're done with our current ones. So as we move on to the first segment of my half.
Do it. More beer.
Where did it go?
Ah, yes, the Rogue Cold Brew IPA.
That's
I haven't
for
had this one
Kyle.
before. This sounds good though. I've never had it. What is cold brew? Oh, it's blended with cold brew coffee.
Yeah, there's some coffee in there.
Interesting. Interesting.
You
You don't see too many coffee IPAs.
Give you a little extra jolt of energy for your half of the show.
I hope not. I'm usually amped up as it is. So.
I don't drink IPAs, but I
knows
browsed
what'll
the
happen.
IPA section at Bevmo in order to find something for Kyle, and I trust the master brewers at Rogue. They've done me well in the past, so
Yep.
that's why I chose that one.
Reputable.
All right, let's move on here. We're gonna start off with the news segment. We're doing a lot of stuff on the fly today, such as all of our lower thirds.
Don't we do that every time?
All of our lower thirds aren't linked. I need to find my news. Wait, where's the news?
Oh, our lower thirds.
They're none of them.
Damn it.
News.
I
There
should
it
have
is.
set all that up.
News.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't even think about it. It wasn't like, I'll just make Paul do all this shit on the spot.
I know.
And make him suffer and laugh while he struggles on live.
I mean,
broadcast.
I have the first half of the show, so we get to go through all that on my half.
That's right. That's true.
Okay. So
That's
for tech news
always
today, we're starting off with a bit of the old scuttlebutt from AnandTech.
Scuttlebutt.
Why isn't Control Plus working on this?
Today we'll be recapping an AnandTech article in 3 short hours.
This one from Ian Cutress, and specifically, this is
I like you.
information derived from Power Stamp Alliance. I'm not familiar with Power Stamp Alliance, but now I know what they are thanks to this article. Power Stamp Alliance has been formed to define a standard product footprint and functions that provide a multiple-sourced standard modular board-mounted solution for power conversion from 48-volt in to low-voltage, high-current applications, primarily targeting devices being used in large data centers. So it's alliance of large companies in order to create a standard so that they can all create hardware that can be universally used in platforms. And the platform that they have specifically released some information on is Intel's not next-gen Xeon platform, but the gen after that. Right now, Xeon, the highest-end Xeon stuff you can buy from Intel is based on Skylake. But Cascade Lake is what's supposed to be next. And the code names are typically applied to the architecture, and the architecture is often used not just on, like, the architecture will be used across multiple platforms. So right now there's Xeons based on Skylake architecture. You can also buy mainstream CPUs as well as enthusiast-grade CPUs based on Skylake architecture. Cascade Lake is the next code name for architecture that products will be based on in 2018. After that is Ice Lake, and that's listed, at least in the documentation referenced here, as coming out in 2018/2019. So possibly later this year or early next year. But there's also some more information in this, and this is all from AnandTech, so it's all pretty. We can be pretty confident this is all pretty accurate information here. One of the biggest things here, I think, is the new sockets. It's LGA4189. That's 4,189 pins.
Damn.
Typically, LGA is referenced by the number of actual pin contact points in each socket. That's 542 more pins than the current Xeon socket, which is LGA3647. And that currently supports Skylake Xeons as well as the upcoming Cascade Lake Xeon family. In this document, though, because they're talking about early designs for motherboards that will support this platform, for example, they actually say that the Ice Lake stuff will have the new socket LGA4189, and also that there will be some amount of backwards compatibility between them. The power pin, so different pinouts on a socket. Some will be for data connectivity. Some will be for power delivery. The power design is supposed to be the same. So there will be an adapter that you can get in order to have some sort of backwards compatibility.
A CPU adapter?
Yeah, this is still.
That's a first.
This is still pretty early information. So, like, my guess here would be something like the current socket design is large enough to have the extra pins added in there, and that maybe there's a different adapter that will allow it to slot in there. I don't think this is something like a physical adapter like the old slot mount CPUs or something like that. I doubt it's going that direction. But it does seem like there's some sort of backwards compatibility that they're talking about there, at least when it comes to the power delivery. And that's, of course, what this article is derived from, the Power Stamp Alliance, because they do a lot of 48 volts power components. So there you go.
Yeah.
These are...
I'm sure the power is crazy.
The other information that was also revealed from the documents is power ranges for Cascade Lake, at least when it comes to the TDP for the CPUs. Cascade Lake will have 165 to 205 watt range for TDPs, which is pretty similar to Skylake, which had 140 to 205 watt range. Ice Lake will up that to 230 watts for the TDP. So, you know, you'll need some cooling.
Plan accordingly.
You'll need some cooling there. And then when it comes to code names that they're referencing in the document, there's one code name, VR13, which is for Skylake and Cascade Lake parts. And then there's VR13-8C for Ice Lake, and the HC in this case stands for high current. So the typical VR13HC implementation for an Ice Lake Xeon is going to be a 2 CPU configuration with 16 DDR4 memory slots for each CPU.
Oh, it's going to be like Threadripper.
Yeah, 16 per CPU. So that means that, like, I don't know what kind of motherboard, like, I don't know if this is going to fit within current motherboard standards. Like,
16.
there's SSI, CEB, 16 per CPU, and we're talking about a 2 CPU configuration, possibly on separate motherboards. I'm not really sure. This is all stuff that's probably out of the range of most people, because it's server grade stuff, and really high end server grade stuff at that.
When they say the VR13HC implementation is 2 CPUs, do they mean 2 dies on one actual CPU?
No, two
or
separate
two
CPUs.
separate CPUs on like a motherboard,
so here,
like a server board.
Yeah. So again, because the documents they're referencing are largely largely talking about power delivery to the CPUs, because that is what the Power Stamp Alliance is designing and establishing standards for. So they have, for example, the 48 volt bus going across here, 2 CPUs, and then all the DDR4 memory slots for both. It's 8-channel DDR4, so that's pretty crazy, doubling the quad channel. So I imagine there's an insane amount of bandwidth available there. But again, just that number of so I have a feeling this is going to be split on a couple boards in a system, but who knows for sure. Again, this is that enterprise grade stuff that we don't dabble in that much. But the reason I bring it up here in general is because a lot of times there's trickle down, especially on the Intel side. Xeon, the enthusiast grade parts like X99 and X299 have all been derived from Xeon stuff. The enthusiast platform tends to more align with Xeon launches than it does with them with mainstream launches.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm just speculating, like, Intel was kind of blindsided by the Threadripper launch from AMD last year, and suddenly having competition in the high-end desktop space. Right now, Intel has X299 and the Skylake parts that fit in there. But what are they gonna, like? Are they gonna have some kind of answer for AMD and Threadripper beyond the current platform that they have, or like what are they planning that's next? And this is just complete speculation for me, but given the response from Threadripper, I feel like it would be kind of cool if Intel was like, hey, let's take some derivative of this platform, whether it's LGA3647 or the LGA4189 stuff they're talking about, and create some sort of enthusiast class platform based on that. Right. That'd be fun. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool. Last stat here was that the maximum memory capacity of the base Xeon processors on the Ice Lake platform is up from 768 gigabytes to 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte of system memory, which is usually the minimum that I try to roll with. Anyway, guys, again, the article from AnandTech is linked in the description, and there's a lot more detail there. So feel free to read it if you want more info. Next up, from PC World and Brad Sharkus, is Nvidia finally saying goodbye, not just to Fermi graphics cards, and I'm saying say goodbye, that's very dramatic. They're ending support for Fermi graphics cards as well as 32-bit operating system support. This is announced on Friday, April 6th, and probably not many people like
Will be
desktop
affected by
users
this.
using 32-bit operating systems. 64-bit has been around for a while, and excuse me, I mean, I haven't used 32-bit operating systems since 2005, 2006, 2007. I don't know, right in that range somewhere.
Yeah. That's like when I graduated high school. Good Lord.
Yeah.
That was a long time
Most
ago.
often you hear about people who are required to use a 32-bit operating system in order to support some old legacy software or something like that. But it is something to keep in mind, I suppose, if in particular if you're using a 32-bit OS, or if you have an older graphics card, specifically a Fermi-based graphics card. The affected systems that have either a 32-bit OS or a Fermi-based graphics card won't just stop working all of a sudden. They're still going to function. They're just not going to get new performance enhancements, features, or bug fixes. There is some continued support for critical security updates until January 2019. So you got another 8 months or so for that. Also of note is that the GeForce Experience software, which is optional, but a lot of people do use it, will also be dropping 32-bit operating system support. The software that currently exists will still work with 32-bit OS, game setting functions and that kind of thing. Again, it's just not going to get updated beyond that. So typically when that happens, people will still use it for a little bit, but at some point there might be a security vulnerability or something like that. So it's moving end of life. So update your operating system.
Yeah.
But
and if you still have a 500 series, Fermi graphics card or something like that, it's probably time to upgrade anyway, I would think.
possibly. I mean,
Even
hopefully graphics cards prices will continue to drop.
if
and
if
that will
not
be-
if not just for the sake of not burning down your house with the GTX 580. Just get that, just retire it already and get something that doesn't pose a threat to you and your family.
Good advice, Kyle.
I'm here all week.
So yeah, as Kyle mentioned, Fermi-based graphics cards, in case you're not sure what exactly that entails.
Oh, do you have
Sorry.
the opener?
Oh, I used the one on my keys. There you go.
Thanks.
Fermi-based graphics cards from Nvidia are GTX 400 series or GTX 500 series graphics cards. They were kind of notorious, especially in the 400 series, for being very power hungry and running pretty hot. GTX 480 in particular had a notorious reputation for that. Good excuse to water cool, of course. The 500 series had a lot of benefits or upgrades from the 400 series with power consumption. And still not non-functional cards or anything by any stretch. Just again, not going to get future updates. So, the AAA title that launches 4 months from now won't have a game, a launch day ready driver. It will have a launch day driver for 600 series and above, but not for your older 500 series graphics card. In case you want to compare this to what AMD has done, the counterparts at the time for the 400 and 500 series Fermi graphics cards from Nvidia was AMD's Radeon HD 5000 and 6000 series graphics cards, and those have been legacy status since 2015. So Nvidia, for their part, supported those cards for
Much
a good
longer,
2-3 years beyond what what AMD supported their GPUs for the time. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
The new Ryzen processors, Ryzen 2 as they're called, are coming out soon. We have confirmation from AMD that they are launching on April 19th. But some global retailers have just been shipping them out, apparently, supposedly. Rumor has it. According to these pictures and everything, and far be it from me to call anyone a liar.
So wait,
You guys can view these
are the retailers
yourselves.
shipping them out in Are they breaking any rules with or contracts with AMD?
Maybe, I don't know, possibly. Like, it's regional, right? Like all my experience is working with Newegg, and Newegg was a pretty sizable company when it comes to being an end user sales, retail sales outlet.
Yeah.
So, there's back and forth with companies. Obviously, AMD's probably not happy if this actually is the case that these CPUs were shipped to these people early. AMD has embargoes, we can assume, going on with various outlets and that kind of thing, and they probably wouldn't want this happening because that would detract from that. But at the same time, you're trying to do a product launch globally with many different countries and many different outlets and that kind of thing, and it's not the first time we've seen something like this happen before. So for better or for worse, it does seem, again, according to these rumor articles, that some of these CPUs have gone out. So there are people who have been testing them, and this article is from Hardware, which is also derived a bit from, I believe, a bit from a WCCF Tech article, from a Ryzen 7 2700X benchmark leak. And the 2700X is supposed to be the highest end CPU that's coming out with this upcoming launch. The basis of the article is information posted by El Chapuzas Informatico. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Sounds like a reliable source.
Yes, they were able to obtain a Ryzen 7 2700X, according to the article, which is the 8-core, 16-thread processor, essentially the successor to the 1800X, as far as what we have right now. Base stats are a 3.7 gigahertz base clock and a 4.35 gigahertz boost clock. They ran it through a series of benchmarks. They were testing it with an ASRock motherboard, the X370 Killer SLI. And several motherboard manufacturers have already posted BIOS updates for their boards for compatibility with the Ryzen 2 stuff, which allows you to actually slot these CPUs in and use them. Again, assuming this article is accurate. So yeah, some tests. They don't have the 1800X in here, but they have a 1700X in these comparison numbers for some W prime stuff. Does still seem to be falling behind some of the Intel comparison numbers here for like the 8700K. It did seem to do better in the second test W prime, but it should be noted that anything that they're using right now when it comes to the software side, driver support, that kind of thing, is probably pre-launch.
Yeah.
And that can often cause some changes in performance after launch. So there's a 3D Mark Firestrike score with the 2700X and 3200 megahertz memory coming in just behind the 8700K. And there's a few other outlets referenced in the article. For overclocking, the original article by El Chapuzas Informatico, we're only able to overclock to 4.2 gigahertz across all cores on their 2700X at 1.4 volts. But there's another website called Hardware Numbers, and they actually have a video linked in the article as well. They also apparently got a Ryzen 7 2700X, and they got 4.3 gigahertz across all cores. They were also at 1.4 volts, and they were using an Asus ROG Crosshair 6 Hero. Also, an independent person in Chile contacted WCCF Tech with some overclocking numbers that they had for an R5 2600, which is a 6-core, 12-thread processor, which is probably going to be the relevant successor to the 1600 and the 1600X. That has a 3.4 gigahertz base and 3.9 gigahertz boost, and they overclocked it to 4.05 gigahertz across all cores with an ASRock X370 Tai Chi. So again, all these numbers are early. None of this stuff is launched. All these tests have been done with current generation hardware, according to the article. So it's preliminary stuff. Maybe something to get excited about if you're looking at some of those higher frequencies, because getting beyond 4 gigahertz was pretty difficult with the first gen Ryzen stuff. But yeah, we should all know more in about 9 days, because again, April 19th is when this launch is supposed to happen.
I'm curious to see if there's much of a performance difference between X370 and X470 when you're talking about overclocking anyway. Because, I mean, I know X470, the one feature that it does have over X370 is XFR 2. But if you're overclocking and you're just applying an all-core frequency, then that kind of goes out the window. So then I'm wondering, on top, apart from that, if you would still have a better overclocking advantage on the newer chipset. I don't know. I think I'm most curious about that, because that's the whole thing, right? It's like, this is exciting because a lot of people jumped onto Ryzen first gen because it was a great platform, and then we all have the promise of backwards compatibility, where we can, you can buy a new second gen Ryzen chip and slot it into an X370 board, but at what cost? We shall see. I'm very curious. I think most people will be overclocking their Ryzen 2 chips, so.
Just gonna assume you're joking about everything. Ha! Ha! That's funny, Kyle. Obviously, we don't know any of the details about any of this stuff.
Oh, I'm not under.
Moving on.
Oh, sure.
Facebook has told us recently that data on most of its 2 billion users is vulnerable. 2 billion users, that's global, worldwide.
Okay.
Facebook, of course, has been under a fair amount of heat recently for various things. According to this article, they removed a feature recently that lets a user enter a phone number or an email address into Facebook's search tool in order to find other people, specifically because it was being used by malicious actors to scrape public profile information. As many as 87 million people, most of them in the U.S., have had information improperly shared with research firm Cambridge Analytica. And then there's also talk of another research firm called Palantir. Mark Zuckerberg was interviewed today.
More like interrogated. Shit.
Did you watch any of that?
I caught some of it.
I didn't really watch it, so.
It was interesting. It was really interesting. I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah?
Just like he was like in front of like 30 people, like 30 rich white old dudes just up there, just a lot of them hardcore conservatives and stuff.
Answering questions.
And just getting hammered with question after question, like some hard-hitting, sophisticated questions. And I thought he handled himself pretty well, to be honest. And he was under a lot of pressure, obviously, but he was very, smart and concise with his answers. It didn't seem like he was bullshitting all that much. And you could tell that every dude up there was just trying to, like, be the one that gave him be the one to stump him. With like some like really controversial question, but he kind of plowed right through it. So,
well, except for the ones that received substantial campaign donations.
Yeah, that's true too. Justice was not.
And of course, Zuckerberg, he's only capable of acting within the parameters of his software programming. It was interesting when questions regarding some of these firms that have potentially been misusing Facebook information came up, such as Cambridge Analytica and Palantir, was when questions stopped being answered as thoroughly, according to what I read. But of course, this all happens just briefly earlier today. The article is actually from last week, so there's more stuff just from today and yesterday. Now, all this said, there's two sides to the coin here. One of them is like people who are upset with Facebook and canceling, deleting their Facebook accounts and logging out and stuff like that, because they feel like their privacy has been infringed upon or that kind of thing. And then there's another response, which is people who I've heard saying, like, a lot of the stuff about what information you share it's there. Granted, it's in the fine print, and maybe that's something that's misleading to people as far as knowing what you're signing up for. And this is also something that's largely new, in the past 5 to 10 years. This is all fairly recent. So the ability for this to exist, this global social network that people can go and post on and say whatever they want and that kind of thing is...
It's very new, yeah.
I feel like it's technology that we are it's sort of in the infancy, so of course there's going to be people who figure out ways to use it maliciously.
Right. It's like a living, breathing Black Mirror episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where cutting edge technology is now being abused
So obviously
profits.
there's a lot. This is an ongoing thing. So we're going to briefly touch on it here. Obviously, there's an entire political side to this that we're not going to delve into very much, just because we typically try to avoid that type of thing on the show. But upshot for me right now is that if this increases your awareness of what you share online, then good. Everyone should be more understanding that your connection to the internet and what you decide to post there and what you talk about is going to be used for marketing purposes, and whether that's a fairly innocuous marketing purpose of like, hey, here's a product you might want to buy, or whether it's a marketing purpose of like, here's some shadow government or foreign country that's trying to influence your decisions in some way that you wouldn't naturally go for. Like, there's very much, I think there's a lot more to go into there that obviously we're not going to get into right now. But be aware that what you're sharing is important.
It's kind of like people don't realize, like, going onto a website and like creating a login and stuff and being a user and being active in their account. It's kind of like going into like a store that, you know, you're on someone else's property, you're in someone else's territory, and they've got security cameras, they can film you walking into their store, they have full control over that. But the internet's scary because there's this level of detachment where it's like, well, I'm still at home, I don't understand that I'm like actually in somebody else's jurisdiction, and you don't know like if that website has security cameras just on you walking in and walking out, or how deep that goes. Like if we're using this brick and mortar analogy, like what if they had cameras in the bathroom or in the changing rooms? You know, like how much data are they actually collecting from you? And people don't really have a grasp of that because it's so intangible to some degree. There's very real. There's
a very significant conversation going on right now about facial recognition. With Facebook, and it's there's the online like Facebook facial recognition of like I uploaded a picture, like, oh, it recognizes that it's me and this other person who's on my friends list, so it can say like, oh, here's the people in that picture,
auto tag and all.
And then there's the facial recognition of like what we've discussed a little bit about what's going on in China and other areas where it's like, wherever you walk, there's cameras that recognize your face and track wherever you're going all the time because technology enables it now. And obviously, there's some degree of security to be gained from that, but there's also a lot of personal privacy to be given up. And we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. So we'll try to keep an eye on it, I guess. I'm getting scared, so let's move on and talk about something that's a little bit more friendly. The Windows 10 Spring Creators Update. Oh, spring!
That sounds a lot more lighthearted.
Spring and Windows 10. Windows 10 it's only kind of watching you, right? So the Windows 10 Spring Creators Update. This article over on PC World by Mark Hatchman was written up. Just sort of a collection of things that it has done, and maybe you're aware of this, maybe you're not. So I wanted to quickly run down it and make you aware of it. For instance, you now have one-click data deletion, including the diagnostic data that Microsoft has collected on your device. You can actually just go and manually delete that now. App-by-app GPU management, so it gives you a little bit more control over your GPU as far as being connected to the software. And for example, if you're on a laptop or something like that, and maybe you have a couple GPUs, a low power one and a discrete one to choose from, you can help yourself out with some power management. A better game bar, and this is something that I have no idea if anyone who watches this show is interested in. Do you use the game bar? I ignore all the Windows 10 game stuff, but
Didn't even know it existed, to be honest.
I'm sure some people do it. The game bar sort of encourages you to stream PC games via Windows Mixer. They revamped the game bar to add a clock, some toggles to turn mic and camera off, that kind of thing. I've never bothered to use this. I don't know if anyone does. Maybe it's functional. I don't know.
No one's gonna use that.
Changed the fonts in the Microsoft Store. Been waiting for that one. This one's actually kind of useful. On-demand Bluetooth pairing via a pop-up versus this is an awkward GIF image there or whatever. But rather than having to go into settings, devices, Bluetooth, and click the plus icon to pair stuff, there's a little pop-up that triggers a pairing request, so that's useful. With Windows 10 S, you can now switch to passwordless mode. Haven't bothered to test that myself. So, audio. This is actually probably of all these things, this is probably my favorite. So, you have app volume and device preferences. You have a bit of an expanded UI here with volume per app, which is useful, and also input and output options here for audio devices. For anyone who does streaming or runs multiple pieces of software at the same time that you might want one to play audio and that kind of thing, hopefully this will help you out.
As long as Windows Updates doesn't reset all of these parameters
Windows can
after
remember
every
that
fucking update.
After updates, then
we gave you more things to reconfigure after every update. You're welcome.
But there you go. Some better audio options. Autocorrect and auto-suggest for hardware keyboard. Okay.
For what? Auto keyboard?
The hardware keyboard. So.
Just like a regular. Do they just mean a regular keyboard, like autocorrect when you're typing stuff, like in Word?
Yeah.
Word
the
pad?
hardware auto-suggest functions for the hardware keyboard that it does for the software keyboard that pops up in tablets.
Huh.
So
neither really, unfortunately, really delivers.
Right, so not much to talk about there.
Great.
Improved eye tracking controls with eye control.
Because we all use that.
So for what was the MSI
Toby.
The Toby. Anyone who has an MSI Toby laptop, super excited about that. Better support for HDR displays. Dimitri's going to have to redo his video with this update.
That's another 15, 20 hour
A larger
video.
my people. I hate the people button. Go away, people button. I don't care.
I don't even know what that is. So.
And Cortana changes. I don't care about those either. All right, that's all. That's all. I'm done. I'm done with that one. So
most of those are crap.
Windows 10 Spring Update.
Complete junk.
I like the audio one.
Yeah, that one's
I don't know.
decent. But who was like, you know what? Let's change the font in Windows Store. Just when you thought Windows Store couldn't get any worse. Comic Sans.
They're giving you the ability to change the font.
I understand
the font that you like.
But I know. But which 5 users were like, Windows Store would be much better if I could change it to like Times New Roman. Let's get some Calibri in this bitch. Like, why is that even a thing? Why do we even need that option? Why are they spending time on shit like that?
It's gonna revolutionize Windows 10
There's
sales.
so many other things in Windows 10 that need fixing. Windows Store font.
I like that new audio interface.
The audio's fine.
Western Digital, maker of many hard drives.
D-dubs.
And WD has had several dabblings in the SSD space, and so WD's always been one of my favorite hard drive manufacturers.
Me too.
This goes back to actually their RMA procedure. Because the drives that I've used from WD, they've by and large been very reliable.
Solid.
But of course, you're always going to have hard drives that die from time to time.
Not
WD RMA, back in the day, this is like mid 2000s. Like it was so. You take the serial number, you put it in on their website. It tells you exactly how much time you have left for the RMA. You can set up the RMA. You have like 3 different options. If you want to put a credit card on file, they can immediately send you a replacement, so you have no downtime. Or if you're willing to wait, you can send it and they send it back, and they did the thing for shipping. Anyway, that among several other things. I like WD. So, as the global storage standard transitions from spinning mechanical hard drives to flash-based. I've been keeping an eye on WD and Seagate as the largest hard drive manufacturers to see what they do when it comes to this transition. WD, did they buy SanDisk? I forget if WD
Yes,
bought
they did.
WD bought SanDisk.
So they're using all their controllers now.
So they're associated now, but also means that they have access to NAND flash fabs, basically. So this is the latest product from Western Digital. It's a WD Black 3D NAND SSD. The review over here on NAND Tech is by Ganesh and Billy, and they do a great job. And there's all these different pages you can go and look at their different things that they tested and stuff like that. We're gonna keep this kind of high level since this is just a live show. But first off, it's important to note that the same drive is going to be released under two different brands. So the picture you can see right here, there's a SanDisk version and a WD version. Underneath that sticker, they're both the exact same drive with the exact same controller.
Weird.
What might be kind of confusing is they are reusing the name, at least on the WD side. The WD Black SSD already exists, and this is a new WD Black SSD. The original one had a Marvell controller and 15nm planar TLC NAND flash memory. This new WD Black / SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD is based on the same platform as their business OEM SSD with an SN720. SN720 is a model, and that was actually launched earlier this year. They features 64-layer BICS 3D NAND and Western Digital's own new SSD controller. So that's cool. I like that WD is developing their own drive controllers, especially if it's capable of this type of performance. So you can see it's available in 3 different capacities, 250, 500, and 250 gigs, 500 gigs, and 1 terabyte. 3 different models here. The SanDisk version is only going to be available in 500 and 1 terabyte. It's an M.2 SSD, NVMe PCI Express Gen 3x4 connection to your motherboard, and of course that SanDisk 64-layer NAND flash. It's got a bit of SK Hynix DRAM there for cache, and sequential read and write performance. If you're looking at the highest end, 1 terabyte, 3,400 megabytes per second read, 2,800 megabytes per second write.
It's really good.
Sticks with 3,400 megabytes per second reads. For the 500 gig version, drops to 3,000 for the 250, and you get a bit of drop off in the sequential write performance there as well. IOPS 500K for the 1 terabyte version, 410 and 220 respectively for the 500 and 250 gig, and a few other relevant stats there as well, including total bytes written as far as endurance goes. What you might be most interested in is the actual price down here. So look at this, 250 gig high-end NVMe SSD.
That's dirt cheap.
For $120, 48 cents per gig.
Wow.
The 500 gig one is $230. The 1 terabyte is $450. So
solid.
It's pretty solid pricing there. Considering that in the review, and again, I encourage you guys to read the whole review if you want to get into more of the details about these drives. Looking at the price per gig, especially comparing it to like the 960 Pro from Samsung, which has been the fastest NVMe SSD for quite some time now, you got to pay about 64 cents per gig, maybe 59 cents per gig if you're willing to spend for the 1 terabyte version of that. So that's like a third of the price, and pretty comparable performance.
Yeah.
Very few disappointing results from the WD Black, according to AnandTech. Even when it isn't tied for first or second place, as far as the benchmarks go, it performs well above the low-end NVMe drives. So this has been sort of a dilemma that I've had when it comes to recommending people storage drives. Obviously, a SATA SSD will get you most of the responsiveness and performance that anyone would need, kind of a base level. But it's like, oh, you've got that M.2 slot on your board. Should you invest in an NVMe SSD? And for the most part, it's like, no, it's really not worth spending what you'd need to spend to get like a 960 Pro or something like that, unless you're doing a lot of heavy read-writes work or that kind of thing with the drive.
Yeah.
But having something that's like a comparable, $100-ish range for a solid operating system drive, that's pretty nice there. So That's part of the reason I brought this up.
Puts it into like the
And-
SATA-based M.2 category.
Yeah.
Just in terms of pricing.
Yeah, well, I
which is
mean,
pretty sweet.
I haven't looked just like today or yesterday, but you can probably get a 250 gig SSD for $70 to $90, like a reasonable one.
Yeah, a
So
little bit more for M.2.
You're paying a bit more for the M.2, but you're getting the convenience of you don't have to have an
cables.
external drive that connects with a power cable and a SATA cable to the board. And it's just it's a very solid like operating system drive to just put in there. Like it's there, it's connected to the board. Just don't worry about it. Add on other drives and add on other SSDs for storage, for Steam drive or that kind of
And
thing.
one screw installation
And-
instead of 4.
Yes, so
always
super
nice.
convenient that way. So there it is, the WD Black
Boom.
3D NAND SSD, also available as the SanDisk Extreme Pro. I didn't look if you can like immediately buy that right now, but maybe you can.
I think you can.
Yeah, you can just buy it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I saw it.
All right, let's move on. Sword
Woo!
Fight. Sword Fight is next. I'm gonna hold on. Got Sword Fight. Sword. Where'd it go? Sword Fight. There it is. Okay. Sword Fight is next. Sword Fight is a segment on Awesome Hardware where Kyle and I take opposing sides of a controversial issue. We argue it.
We do.
And attempt to sway your opinion. So, there is a straw poll link in this video's description. You guys can check that out. Feel free to render your opinion by voting on that straw poll, or you can wait and listen to what Kyle and I have to say,
Sure.
and perhaps what we say will affect what you think, since we are influencers.
I learned this weekend at PAX East that I am an influencer
You're an
now and not a
influencer?
tech reviewer.
Oh yeah, you know, that's
My fate's been sealed, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let you down. You can now refer to me as influencer Bitwit.
okay.
It's very
So-
sad. Single tear.
Now that that's been cleared up, this argument we're about to have is based on this article from Gizmodo
Gizmodo.
about teen monitoring apps. Now, Kyle, we're slightly older, right? We're not young men anymore.
Speak for yourself, old.
I know.
ass
I'm
motherfucker.
older than you, but I'm trying to pretend like I'm slightly younger by making you feel slightly older.
No, I am pretty old too.
All right, so
I'm right behind you.
we're old, and you know we're just as like to be dads now as we are to be like young dudes in our 20s or whatever, right?
Dad jokes already.
So eventually, you know, potentially might have children, and obviously anyone who has kids in this day and age is going to face some difficult decisions when it comes to their kids and giving them access to the internet.
Mm.
Now, this article from Gizmodo is about teen monitoring apps, and the article concludes that they don't work and they just make teens hate their parents.
That- I think everyone saw that coming.
Yeah, there's a study referenced in here somewhere. There's some references to research and that kind of thing. Obviously, we don't care about any of that. We just care about our feelings. How do we feel about this? So we're going to argue here about the straw poll question. This has been linked in chat if you guys want to answer. Should this be a thing or not? Because, like, I try to view it from the perspective of you know, if my parents were using a monitoring app on me, or if
Go
I was
fuck
to use a
themselves.
monitoring app on my kids. It's very confusing when you
It's
try to
too
think about
drastically.
it from both,
I mean, those
from
two
both
perspectives are
perspectives.
literally at extreme opposites
know.
of the spectrum.
I know, and yet we must straddle that. We must straddle right on top of it, and view it from both sides. So, should parents monitor apps on their kids' smartphones and computers? Should this be a thing? I mean, maybe there's budding parents out there who are going to listen to this and get some real good advice on the rearing of their children as they attempt to to mold their young brood. What?
I like the third option. I vote for that
one. That's my favorite part of straw poll.
Yeah,
of,
right.
Of,
making
of, of sword fight actually is coming up with the third option.
The anti-answer.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And Cell, thank you for posting the link in chat as well. Cell Processing, our trusty moderator, he does a great job. All right, what do you think, Kyle? Which side of this argument you gonna hitch your horse to?
Well, after I just saw Steve from Gamers Nexus post in our YouTube chat that he actually planted monitoring apps on me during the PAX East panel that we were both on this weekend, I'm gonna have to argue, no, do not monitor the children or your fellow YouTube influencers, because at the end of the day, the more you encroach on their freedom and try to tell them how to live their lives, the more they're going to push away. And so parents wonder why they have this terrible relationship with their kids. It's because they're forcefully trying to control them. And parents are addicted to control, especially with their kids, because it's the only thing they have. They literally gave up their entire lives for these children, and they feel like they kind of have the right to control them, to control every aspect of their life. But really, that's poor parenting at the end of the day, because when you get to be the age of 18, at least in America, you become an adult, and you have the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want within reason, within the law. You don't have someone monitoring you. So it's technically your due diligence and responsibility as a parent to prep your child for freedom, to prep your child to know how to behave and how to live without someone surveilling them 24/7. And it creates a toxic environment between parent and child, and I do not stand for it because it doesn't work. It doesn't work for anyone. Even if you successfully control your child, when they turn 18, they're not going to know. They're either not going to know how to behave without some sort of guidance, right? Like they'll be terrible at Skyrim because it's just too laissez-faire and too open world, or they're going to just conform exactly to every single rule that they can find and adhere to those rules, and they'll feel trapped and stressed and anxious for the rest of their lives. So at the end of the day, don't be like Steve from Gamers Nexus. And Steve, if you're still watching, don't just could you stop monitoring me? Because otherwise I'm just gonna pull at my dick later tonight when you least expect it, and you're gonna just see my dick, and that's what you get, you spying asshole.
So
go to hell.
Quick aside, that's the best way to prevent the FBI from spying on you in the cameras, like in your laptop and your cell phone. Just constantly
pull it out.
Just constantly do video of your taint on those devices.
Paul gets it. Why can't you, Steve?
That's all you gotta do.
Why can't you?
Okay. Obviously, Kyle's wrong. He almost always is, unless he's agreeing with me. So what were you arguing for there? You said yes. You said yes.
You don't even know what side you're on. Get a grip, Paul.
No, you said no. You said no, we shouldn't monitor our kids. Let me explain why you're wrong, Kyle. Now, first off, just to be clear, I understand. I know where people come from when they have this fear of monitoring and surveillance and all that kind of thing. But you know what? That's all part of this past, right? That's a 20th century dilemma that people really need to get over, because we're in the information age, we're in the future, and this type of thing is inevitable. But really, if we embrace it, if we embrace the ability of technology to track our comings and goings, our wants and our desires, and our fingerprints, our retina scans, and everything, we will be happier. This is the AI, right? AI is going to usher in a future of peace and contentment for everyone. And it's going to start with the constant monitoring of everyone in the world. in order to, you know, establish the big data analytics for behavioral patterns and that kind of thing. That way they can establish where to properly administer the propaganda in order to subdue, you know, our subconscious need to rise up and overthrow the people who are trying to suppress us. It's also going to help them to establish where they should distribute the soma, right? That's what they usually, you know, usually it's distributed in a gaseous form. You inhale that, you feel just fine. Everything's just fine. Nothing to worry about. So all this comes back, of course, to monitoring our kids, because once we agree to that, once we sign into that application, we agree to that, we check the checkbox, fine print there, it's probably going to be monitoring us as well. It's going to be monitoring everyone, and we just need to submit, give in, relax, let the AI make the decisions, and just go for it. And it's going to be just a bright and pleasant future, I think.
Well, I was going to vote for you for president, Paul, but after that speech, I don't know how I feel. I'm sure you were rooting for the cops to arrest Tom Cruise in Minority Report.
If my Soma vapor emitters were installed, you would agree with me very quickly, I think. Okay.
Well, you are building a Tesla Powerwall, so
I'm not building it.
You're already on your way.
Installed. If I was fancy, I would build it myself. There's videos on there about people who build them themselves.
See, why the hell aren't you building yours?
You're right.
You should be monitored for
it's
your
a shortcoming.
inadequacy.
Okay.
As a DIY builder.
All right, let's see what everyone thinks about this. I'm curious to know your response.
I win.
Let's check results. Did you already do that?
No, I don't know.
People agree with you, Kyle. Kids should be able to explore
their own
lives. You know, the world, and find out, make decisions. They should be able to make mistakes, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn for the future of your life. Only 13% of people watching our show have their parents currently monitoring them. So I lose, but that, you know what, I meant to lose.
Steve says you're tracking my brain thoughts. Is that true?
I'm tracking Steve's
mine
brain. Kyle.
Clearly not.
It's confused. I'm confused.
I feel safe again. Thank you.
I don't know. I feel like
reinstilling confidence in.
I feel like right now, if I can just, we're moving towards the latter half of my half of the show, but some recommended reading right now. 1984.
I was thinking about that book while we were discussing this.
Brave New World. Animal Farm. Animal Farm, that'd be a good one too.
Ooh.
But my God, read books.
I need
to read more books. I've really dropped off with that.
Me too.
Okay, we're rounding out my half of the show, and we're actually gonna do some mail time right now. I have a couple mail things to open.
Why not female time, you misogynistic bastard?
Shut up. I need to update this. Hold on. Changing. Mail time. There we go. All right. In the meantime, whilst I open these packages, Kyle maybe can start answering questions.
Sir, yes, sir.
Right.
Let's do it. Scott Dilbeck, $6.66. Cheers. I think Scott Dilbeck is the first one to donate in every show.
He is.
So congrats,
He's really
Scott.
on top of that.
You
I love
are
you, Scott.
a proactive fan. Thank you very much. Automatic Matt may be the second person to donate to every show.
It's automatic.
$5 past CCNA 2. Now I've got a security plus test to pass tomorrow. Wish me luck. P.S. I'll be back to watch next week. Congratulations, Matt. I'm glad your testing went well and that you passed.
I am glad
We both believed in you, and you knew you would. Cool. Good to see you back next week. Guido Salducci, $5. Hey, guys, tried to stalk you at PAX this year, but I couldn't find you. Fortunately, I only live 2 minutes away from there. Love you guys. Sorry I missed you at PAX, man. Maybe I'll see you next year. I had a lot of fun this year, and it was the first time I went to a PAX in 5 years, so perhaps I'll be back next year because I just had such a great time. Wishbone, $10. Do you think I'm going to be chased by Jason on Friday the 13th? It's my birthday. I'm turning 26. Happy early birthday. Also, The PS5 could be revealed September 7th, 2019, and launched November 10th.
Oh, Friday
like
the
with the
13th
PS4
is this
Neo,
week.
PS4 Pro.
That's crazy.
2018 too early. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'd be excited for the PS5 just to see, console. New consoles are always interesting, even to me. I used to be a console person.
Okay,
console
pause.
player. What do we have?
First package here is from D. Cooley. This is from Texas. He said, "Hello, Paul. Hope all is well. Your YouTube channel has been an inspiration to me and built my first PC about a year ago. Also love you and Kyle on awesome hardware." Thank you, Mr. Cooley.
Sweet.
We love you too. I'm sending you an old i5 6600K. Was my backup to my i7 7700K. So he had a 6600K. I have
Still
now
works.
upgraded to a Z370 and an 8600K. The processor works fine. Hope you can get some use out of it. Thanks, David Cooley.
Hey,
Thank you, David.
6600K. That's actually, a pretty, really decent
This is
CPU.
a 6600K, which is a solid,
Oh, yeah.
solid processor.
Oh, yeah, you won't have to upgrade that
So-
from that for years.
Let me say two things. First off, David, thank you. I'm honored and touched.
He basically just gave you like $300.
Second, for anyone who's inspired by David Cooley, I don't need more processors.
More hardware.
Just to be clear, David,
Any hardware of any kind.
I'm incredibly grateful to you for sending this over to me. I'm going to try to find some good use for it, or
But-
perhaps a donation or something like that. But honestly,
But never do that again.
I have lots of processors. So guys, if you have processors, maybe find a pay it forward or something like that. Find some
Yeah.
find a teenager who's just getting into PC building or something like that, and help
Donate
them
some
build a
shit.
system for it. But yeah, maybe I'll find something like that to do with this. But thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Cooley.
All right.
Aside.
Next
Yeah.
up, we've got Nikolai Larsinho, 5 Australiers. After Kyle almost split his baby makers last week, talking up the Node 202, I decided to use it for my HTPC. Never look back. Thanks for the advice. I almost split my baby makers last week, talking about the Node 202. How do I do that?
What'd you do with my keys?
Oh, sorry, I stole them. I tried to steal them, and
Okay.
you caught on.
Sneaky.
I figured you'd figure it out before you had to go to your
Very
car.
Sneaky Kyle.
Well, I'm glad the Node 202 is. I hope it's working out for you.
It's a solid little.
I love
little
that case. Yep, it's great. Thank you very much for the donation, Mr. Nikolai. Chris Solis, $10. Hey, guys, can you recommend any ergonomic computer chairs? Kyle, I was wondering how the Vertigear Trigger 350 was holding up. We have 3 Vertigear Trigger 350s in our office. We use them every day, and they still look brand new. They're very solid. They're built to last years and years and years. They're expensive, granted, but the quality is top notch, and they're extremely comfortable.
I need some of those.
I never have once thought had to readjust my back, this chair, this freaking chair. They're really comfy.
All right.
What the hell is that?
Next up on
Balloon dog.
mail time. All right. So all this stuff is sent to my PO box. By the way, my PO box is linked in the video's description, as well as the description for all the videos that I do. It's PO Box 4325, Diamond Bar, California 91765. In case you're wondering, and this came from USPS. So I think this is actually an Amazon order, and there is a note in here.
It's a dog with a
This is from Douglas Bowen. He says, "Paul, enjoy your gift. Thought you would appreciate it as a balloon animal aficionado. This is a balloon dog anatomy toy." So,
I don't get it.
Wow.
So it
That's-
actually looks like that?
It's got organs. It's
Do you-
got,
Do you have to put it together?
I guess.
So it's not a real balloon. It's like a
I
model.
I don't know.
I feel like you
It's-
should open it up, because we don't really know.
It looks like it has
Easy assembling, so you do have to assemble the bones
Alright.
together. So maybe it's like a little, just a little model that you put together. But I'm
Okay.
wondering how the balloon part works.
I'm very curious.
Very
but-
interested.
All right, Kyle, do another one of those.
I'll keep
see.
it going. Pup Shepherd for the $5. What up, Pup? I made my 10,000th tweet today. Wags, wags. Pup, you are my dog. You know what I mean. Thank you very much for the donation, and congratulations
Thanks, Pup.
on 10,000 tweets, buddy. Dexter2433, $10. Well, made the leap. Ryzen 5 1500X, ASRock 320 board, and 2 8GB DDR4 sticks of RAM, $335 to upgrade daughter's old FX 6300 gaming rig, but we'll be using her old R7 370 4GB card for now. Sounds like a very sweet setup. Ryzen 5 1500X is a fantastic chip for the money, and I'm sure that you're getting a lot of good use out of it. FX 6300 is great for the kiddo as well. So thank you very much for sharing that, Dexter, and for your donation. Oh, cool. That is like a balloon animal thingy. Just, yeah, and you get to put together the bones and stuff. That's pretty cool. Hey, you know what? That's cool. I want one. What is this? Like
it's got some space there in between.
What an interesting gift.
Yeah,
like, what an interesting. It's so different. It's very unique. Balloon dog with like.
Who thought this? Who thought this up to make it into a product?
Right? It's so different.
All these internal organs and skeleton and stuff.
Right? And like, yeah. It's like a weird mix of like cute and demented.
Yeah.
Or.
But it stands up, you know.
I like the fact that it stands up on its own. It is a little model.
Oh, these are the in between pieces.
Ah, yes.
The feet. And,
yes.
Okay.
Maybe one of these days we'll have you do some real balloon twisting on the show. Next up, we've got Sleepy21, $20. Thank you very much, sir. Sup, Paul and Kyle. I'm looking to set up my audio system. Currently have a Logitech 2.1 system. My budget is $1,500. What would you guys recommend? I love music with lots of bass, if that helps. I like music with lots of bass too, Sleepy. Honestly, there are so many good monitors out there, different desktop speakers that you could snatch up. I don't work with a lot of those. I haven't reviewed many speaker systems, to be honest.
So, like, for me, you're either looking at some really high-end monitors, like desk monitors that you'd use.
His budget's $1,500, so.
So like some.
Yeah,
you could
he's
get
looking
some
for
really
some high-end
nice
shit.
monitor speakers there.
Somewhat high.
Or you could get like a receiver with an amplifier and a full 5.1 or 7.1 surround system for that much too, which would be more for like listening in the living room, but you could also connect it up to a home theater or something like that.
Right.
Beyond that, I don't have any specific recommendations.
If anyone in chat has a recommendation for a great audio system for around $1,500, blow up chat, and so that Sleepy can see it, and because you guys probably have more good recommendations than we do. Thank you very much, Sleepy. Hope it works out for you. Insert meme here, donated $5. Hi, I'm thinking of upgrading my PC. I have a Strix Z270H and a 1070 Ti in mind. Any recommendations? If you have a 1070 Ti, I mean, I can't really see why you would need to upgrade that.
Not too far to go from there.
Unless you're trying to do 4K, maybe triple 4K or something like that, then you would need a 1080 Ti, maybe two of them.
Or two.
Or two of them. But yeah, 1070 Ti, if everything's working fine, this is what I tell everyone, if everything's working fine and you're not getting taken out of the game every 10 minutes because of some weird glitch or drop in frame rate, then just stick with what you have. That sounds like a pretty solid setup.
Okay.
What you got?
I think there's beer possibly in here. This one felt like there was liquid in it. This is from Common Ground Distribution in North Carolina. So I don't know what that means.
Norcare.
Or
do they call it Norcare like we call it SoCal?
Norcare?
Norcare, North Carolina. You in Norcare?
Well,
I'm up in Norcare.
That's possible. Oh wow, thanks.
Steve is in Norcare.
This is a 6-pack.
Do they call it Norcare where you're from, Steve? If you're still
Steve
there.
can tell us.
Tell us, Steve. Are they like, yo,
wow,
what up in Norcare? We're down in Southcare.
This
SoCare
appears to be the best packaging for a 6-pack.
This isn't beer.
Ever. All right. I think this is a 6-pack.
6-pack of what? It's a mix and match. No letter?
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything in the.
All right, while you open that, Andrew Schweier, 10 Canadiers. Hey guys, any recommendations for a small PC case that fits in a backpack, small duffel bag that will become an HTPC? Until that Silverstone NAS case is out, been looking at Lian Li PC 05SX. Check out The Node 202 is pretty compact, but you would need a fairly large backpack to fit that in. If you want something smaller, check out some of the Dan cases, the A4 SFX. That is a really tiny case that also fits a discrete GPU. I would look there first. The N case M1 is a fantastic choice for something super portable that would fit in a backpack. SG05 from Silverstone is also really compact. I would check out those three. Yep, everyone in chat is validating that the Dan case is a good option. So, what do we got here?
All right, so this is a mix and match from the Ingles Advantage. 6
Ingles.
import microbrew beer.
Ooh.
So it looks like we have 3 different beers, 2 of each.
Green Man, dry hopped pale ale, the Rambler.
All right.
Cool. This is from Asheville, North Carolina.
This is from Highland Brewing Company in Asheville, North Carolina. This is the St. Teresa's Pale Ale. Golden Pale Ale graced twice with Cascade hops.
And really nice job on wrapping and packaging this.
Yeah, my God.
With a 6-pack, I mean, you actually bubble wrapped each bottle individually, which is probably the best packaging that I've ever seen from anyone sending us beer. So kudos to you on that. You know what you're doing.
The third
You've
one
clearly
here
shipped this before.
is Gaelic Ale.
Gaelic.
Gaelic Ale.
You Gaelic.
First brewed in 1994. Delicious. All right, well, thank you.
I was 5 when that.
I'm still not
beer was
positive
brewed.
who sent this because I don't know if there's any letter. I couldn't find any note or anything like that.
There's no note.
But thank you to whoever sent us beer.
Yeah.
We'll
drink it soon.
This next week or
In
something.
its entirety.
All right.
Max Acceleration. Max Acceleration. Got it. $10. Finally caught you live. You inspired and taught me to do my first builds, 2 Ryzen 3 PCs. If you didn't know, what would you think about cooler included with the 2700X? Will be on Pit My PC soon. What would you think about the cooler included with the 2700X? I don't know what you mean by that. It might be the Wraith Max or the Wraith Spire. I don't know. It might not be any cooler because it's the flagship CPU. So just like they did, just like AMD did with Ryzen first gen, there were no coolers included with the higher end CPUs because AMD just assumed that users buying those chips would be installing their own CPU coolers, aftermarket coolers that had better TDP handling that could cool those chips more effectively. But I'm a huge fan of the Wraith series of coolers. The stock coolers from AMD are light years ahead of anything Intel's put out in that class. So,
what he's probably talking about is this here.
that's a Wraith Max right there. The Wraith Max is great. It's quiet, has RGB, fuck yeah. And although it does have the clear heel conundrum that Paul and I constantly disapprove of on the show, but you know, as long as it's cool and quiet, those are the 2 most important things. And it's free, so the clear heel issue is really a non-issue if they're going to give it to you on the house. So
I recuse myself.
you recuse. You're accuser. Thank you very much, Max Acceleration. Bazinga X, $10. Paul should monitor Kyle. He really needs monitoring. Yes, I do, but fortunately for Paul, I already have someone monitoring me, and that is my wife. She monitors me
I'll leave it
constantly.
up to her.
She definitely needs to. The Northern Lad, 10 GBP. I'm wanting to upgrade my processor. I do a lot of 3D modeling, animation, and rendering. Shall I wait to see what comes out when I can afford it? August time. If you need to do it now, then just do it now. Check out Threadripper. Go the Threadripper route. Do the Threadripper.
Threadripper's pretty nice.
Hell yeah. Get a 1900X.
Kaylin Rochelle says, $10 donation. Kyle, do more Disney vlogs.
There's only so many times per year I can go to
No.
Disneyland. But
No.
more vlogs are coming soon. I guarantee it.
It's good.
And they'll be just as fun.
El Jefe Reviews. $5. Thank you. Just here to support my Side A. Supporting Side A. Thank you.
Side A! Woo!
Side A gives you a shout out right back. Gamers Nexus, we call it North Kakalaki for real. North Kakalaki.
I don't know what that means. Oh, North. Oh,
I think
yes.
North
Their
Kakalaki.
abbreviation for North Carolina
Yeah.
is North Kakalaki.
Okay.
Rolls off the tongue.
No donation there, but hey, we still read it.
You owe us like $5, Steve.
Dom PCX,
Nothing's for free.
$90.99. Have any thoughts on oven baking a 780 Ti from EVGA?
The Easy Bake Oven GPU edition.
If it's a dead card already, then sure, go for it. If it's not, then I
wouldn't oven bake it.
I wouldn't bother.
I'd oven bake a pizza.
Yeah.
Aaron Boggs, 10 Canadians, just left inpatient rehab for a below-knee amputation.
Oh.
While recovering at home, I built my first PC with the help from your video, so thank you. Fun fact, April is Limb Loss Awareness Month. Holy crap, dude. That's intense.
Well, Aaron,
I wish you a speedy recovery from that, and I hope that your life carries on as normal and as good as it can. And honestly, whatever, man. Like, you lost a limb.
I hope
you're still you.
I hope you can get one of those springy bottom legs. I've seen those with the little, like, the curve, right?
Oh yeah, the ones that look like super legs.
Yeah.
And even when I was in Boston this weekend, I was walking by MIT, and someone told me that there's an MIT research lab there that some guys actually manufactured or created like these Iron Man legs that are like can almost like make you levitate for short periods of time and can kick down steel doors and shit. So you're technically the future. I mean, you're like fucking Adam Jensen, from goddamn what the hell's Deus Ex and shit. You're freaking man.
If you were to have to suffer through the loss of a limb, I have to imagine that right now is probably one of the better times for it to happen, all things considered, maybe.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
But Aaron, thank you for your donation, and
yeah, man.
We wish you the best of luck with your future. And
last but certainly not least, we have a donation from Steve. Once again, so he's making up for lost money here. $50 donation. I got your donation right here. In a Boston accent, he says. So I got your donation right here.
Oh,
I got your donation right here.
Damn, Steve.
Right with my khakis.
Okay. Thank you.
Wow.
You really went from 0 to 100 there. But
0 to 50.
Or 0 to 50, yeah.
To be fair.
But I totally appreciate that. Thank you, Steve.
Hope you stick around for my half, Steve. Just saying.
Yeah, we're switching to Kyle's half right now. Speaking of Kyle's half,
woo!
We're going to switch to that right after we do Johnson shoutouts. I have
so many Johnsons. 7
or 8 of them. Dustin from Florida gets a Johnson. The metallic silver shirt.
Dustin.
Limited edition. Gonna be out of those soon.
Dustin.
Clayton from Florida got the Star Wars shirt. That's an awesome hardware shirt. So Kyle and I, we get to split the profits on
Double
that.
Johnson for Dustin. Beware of bottlenecks shirt. Thank you, Dustin.
Chris S from California got the beer set, the keycap, and the blue T-shirt with the thumb screw on it. Thank
Chris
you,
S
and
gets
Johnson.
a double
Johnson
for picking up a Bitwit logo Navy Tri-Blend T-shirt as well.
Glorious. Peter T from Minnesota got the metallic silver black tri-blend shirt, a collector's edition now. Thumb screw keycap as well. Thank you, and Johnson to you.
Clayton Double Johnson, Stay Positive Tri-Blend T-shirt. You are a boss.
Ricardo V from Illinois, the thumb screw beer set, and a big Johnson for you, sir.
Steven Johnson, Evolution shirt. No, Evolution bottle opener and an Evolution shirt. Thank you, Steven.
Mrs. Johnson for the Johnson.
Johnson to James.
Automatic Matt, thank you so much. Matt, you're from New York, apparently. I was just visiting New York. It was very, very brief. He got the metallic silver shirt. Thank you so much, Matt.
James Johnson Jingleheimer Schmidt for picking up a Bitwit Circle logo decal.
Stephen D.
Thanks.
Stephen D. from Ohio, the gaming mouse pad and desk mat set.
A gaming mouse pad was also picked up from Alexis. Thank you very much, Alexis, and Johnson to you.
James C. from Georgia, the keycap and the decal. Johnson for you for that.
Decal. We have a Beware of Bottleneck shirt to CPU Cooler short, actually, and a Navy and CPU Cooler Heather t-shirt picked up from Kalen. So, Johnson to you and yours, Kalen.
Glorious. And one final Johnson for Juan from California. And he got the thumbscrew gaming mouse pad and desk mat set. Johnson to you, Juan. Thank you.
Joseph W. Thank you very much for picking up an Evolution stainless steel bottle opener, a Flash BIOS maroon T-shirt, and a CPU cooler and Flash BIOS full color 15-ounce ceramic mug set. May the Johnson be with you.
It's a lot of merch.
It's a lot of shit.
A lot of merch words there.
A lot of Johnson stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this half of Awesome Hardware. If you enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button. If there's this person out there who wants to rewatch this and do timestamps, we greatly appreciate it. And if you post that in the comments section, I'll check that later tonight and I'll pin you.
Do it.
I'll pin you right
He'll
at the top.
pin the shit out of you.
In the meantime, if you want to check out the second half, link is in the description for Kyle's half on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, stay right where you are.
Do it.
We're not going to go anywhere. But my half is ending. Thank you for watching again. See you next time.